6th hour and the 9th hour, it says the same as Luke 23 and 44.
Well, when Christ gave up the ghost.
Right.
Yeah, so y'all will hit them right quick. Where it calls it the 9th hour. Let's get a little Acts 3. Then we're going to hit Acts 10. And then we're going to hit those brothers hollering out that when Christ gave up the ghost, because you have to understand, he was on the cross from noon. Y'all, that's why we call it 12 what? At what time is it on the clock when you make that? Is it 12:01? That's when you make that statement. It's 12 noon straight up. Everything after that is what's called the evening. The evening ends at twilight. So then sundown is completely, where there's darkness. See, they had to get Christ off the cross before the sun set down, went all the way down to where it was dark, because you're into another day now. So even they was working from 12 noon up until 5:15, but they had to have him down before you couldn't see the sun anymore. So they wasn't just starting preparing the Passover. If we looked at it as sundown, how many lambs you gonna get cooked in that time? And then it goes right into the next day, which is the unleavened bread. You're right there at the brink of one and starting the other one at the beginning of the 15th day of the month. The Feast of Unleavened Bread. So y'all, we're going to hit them two. Let's hit that Acts 3. Y'all, bro, y'all just grab these sides. Y'all get rolling on how y'all
What you say, bro?
Luke 23, 44, and 45. Really 44, 46,
24 through 46.
Y'all remember in Acts 1 also when they thought each of them was drunk and they said, it's what the third hour was now? 8 and 9. They say it's too early to be drinking like this. Already you staggering, stepping in fence post. Oh, it's too early for that. It takes at least a few hours.
A lot of liquor stores don't open.
Hey, y'all, and it's a reason for everything. They don't want you on the road in the morning at that time because it's rush hour. There's a lot of traffic out. You can't be out there that hour. The highway will never be clear.
9:05 didn't open till 9:05.
Boy, look at this. This is a good example of what we're talking about. 9:05. Hey,
You remember?
y'all have to understand, they got to do under the sun. Everything that's out there is not of their own imagination. They are copycat. Then they imagine it from their perspective and claim all the residuals from it. But they're using what the Most High created.
Selling the liquor libation till after that.
9:05.
Everybody should be off the room by 8.
Third hour from 8 to 9.
Let's get it, the 3 and
Acts chapter 3,
3 and
verse
1.
1.
You got that?
Acts chapter 3, verse 1.
And y'all, we just gonna hit these and move on.
Now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. And a certain man lame from his mother's womb was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple.
So right here we see y'all that most people knew that the hour of prayer, holy men were coming through. You know, and this was a time, there was a pool of Shiloh that people would, and as soon as the water was troubled, water just started running. And people would step into it and was made whole at that hour. So y'all, it's always been certain times. Adam prayed at certain times. But when the Lord didn't hear from him, he knew something was wrong. Oh boy, he died. Nakedness had been uncovered. He ain't at the hour of prayer. Why not? What's wrong? Y'all know what was wrong. Some Acts chapter 10, let's get it.
Acts chapter 10.
And this is the chapter that people like to go to justify each portion.
That's right.
If you keep reading on down, it explains itself. They don't want to read.
And I just like to say, at the traditional church, see, I just know you can hear pages flipping here. You know what? Instead of piano playing, choir singing, study to show thyself approved. You know? This is music. Acts chapter 10, you hear pages flipping.
Right. Got that.
Acts chapter 10, verse 1.
We there, let's roll, y'all.
There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called Italian band.
See, a lot of, we got Israelite groups out here that say Cornelius was just a scattered Israelite over there. Just like we have police on the police force, this was an Israelite. But the problem with that is this is one who's studying the commandments. He cannot still be a stranger and he's devout. That means he's holy. And holy means completely devoted to one's deity.
Right. And knows that never says, if he was an Israelite, never says the tribe.
Right. Like Paul did. It says he was of the Italian band. Could that be a Roman band? A Roman army? But we know about what the Roman army is. Go ahead, bro. You had something else?
Yeah, centurion. Out the Bible dictionary, a commander of 100 soldiers in the Roman army.
Right.
The word, of course, does not appear in the Old Testament. The one first mentioned is the centurion of Capernaum, whose beloved servant was sick unto death. Matthew chapter 8, verse 5. 13, Luke chapter 7. This officer had gone so far as to build a synagogue for the Jews, so that the Jews appreciated him and begged Jesus to heal the servant. The centurion showed real reverence to Jesus when he said, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof. Jesus said, I have not found so great faith. No, not in Israel. Next is Cornelius, Acts chapter 10, a devout man, the one that feared God with all his house. It was to him that Peter was sent. And going almost unwillingly, Peter used the keys to open up salvation to the Gentiles, as he had at Jerusalem for the Jews.
See, and so the Most High, even from that perspective, he's saying, I have not found faith in Israel. You think he's just talking about the 10 tribes? And Judah ain't included in that. When he looked at Philip, he didn't say that. He really said, he said an Israelite indeed. And they say, how you know? Because you, I mean, they saw him up under the tree. And he said an Israelite, no guile is in his mouth. Christ knew that because he could read his spirit. He knew the intent, the thoughts of one heart. And he said an Israelite indeed, both body, mind, and spirit. Because there's no guile in his mouth. He don't talk about false. He don't let false things just to get his way come out of his mouth.
A true Israelite, huh?
Like the 144,000. Without guile in their mouth. Look, man, I don't want to say that, but look, you got to keep quiet about this. Once you go there, it's over. Because whoever told you the same thing. You got to keep quiet about this. There you go. Hit that up before we had Mark what?
I don't think it finished yet.
Okay.
Acts 10, chapter 2. Chapter 10, verse 2. A devout man, and one that feared Yah with all his house, which gave much alms to the people, and prayed to Yah always. He saw in a vision, evidently, about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of God coming into him.
Right. So we see constantly, and we'll see that Christ gave up the ghost at that hour. He hung on. Y'all, he was up there for 12 noon. Y'all think about that. Let's hit that. What's that? Mark what?
Luke 23.
Luke 23. Y'all think about hanging up there like that. Just if you was just hanging on the ledge and down below ain't no water. It's jagged rocks. You just hanging up there. How long you can hang? From 12 to 3 p.m. before you just say it's done and let go. What you got, brother?
Also, Acts chapter 10 is a good chapter to show how the Most High don't break order. He sent an angel to a Gentile to go holler at the Israelites.
That's right.
I mean, if that's not showing how he keeps his order, I don't know what it is. What? He said the angel, he sent a vision, right? He sent the angel to him to tell him to go holler at the Israelites.
Peter,
That's right.
That Peter.
Right.
To bring him off the true worship of God.
That's right.
He sent for Peter, and then Peter come holler at him.
Right.
And break him off. Look, this is how you're supposed to worship the Lord.
Absolutely.
Which is the true order of God.
Absolutely.
The Gentiles gotta come holler at God's people and get the true understanding.
That's right.
Of the Bible. This is what it is.
Same thing you'll see if you don't get yourself twisted up, or certain things you may see where the Most High is saying to other nations, this nation have I chosen. Y'all have to understand there's people out of these nations that will be there. They're not the heirs so to the promise, but they co-heirs.
Joint heir.
Joint heirs. You have to understand, we know what an heir is going to be. And you know what a joint heir is going to be, but it's been agreed upon. So you may see in Isaiah 19 something, but you see key words in there that still set it apart. Like Paul spoke of in Romans 3. What is that? Seeing that the Jews.
Right, must have made way.
Psalm 147, 19 and 20. You have to understand that level the heir has that. It can't be transferred to nobody else. To switch that order. So yeah, we want to be extra clear on that, because we're saying that, you get a lot of Israelites fired up because they don't want nobody else coming in but us.
But let me read this real quick, guys.
Go ahead.
Now write this down. Amos chapter 9. Write this down. This is a glimpse into the kingdom. And the order and how it's going to be in the kingdom. Amos chapter 9, verse 8 through 15.
What it say now?
Amos 9 and 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord power are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Among where?
All nations.
So that's everywhere you go. There's a sifting for you. So if there's a sifting for you, then there's going to be an identification for you. You can't run away from Deuteronomy 28. You ain't running nowhere. Run over there, they know. There's a mark on you like paint.
There's going to be an APP out there.
Hey, go ahead now.
For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in the sea. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. 12. That they may possess the remnant of Edom.
The remnant? The what?
The remnant of Edom. That's a biblical name for Caucasians. And of all the heathen, that's everybody else,
Right.
which are called by my name.
What are they called by?
My name, saith the Lord that doeth this. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman, that's a slave, shall overtake the reaper, that's the slave master, and the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed. And the mountain shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people, of Israel. And they shall build the waste cities, and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens, and eat the fruit thereof. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Most High your God.
So we see who the heir is. That don't never go nowhere. That ain't never going nowhere. But can others join in? What about the Pharaoh that was on the throne when Joseph was there? This Pharaoh, Joseph went through like, look, my brother's in time. He's like, Joseph, I remember what you did. I know who you are. What you need? Give me North County. Because he was given the land of Goshen. When the plagues went through, no plagues hit Goshen. When the sun was dark over Egypt, guess what? They were sitting on the sun playing football. There was no darkness there. It was a set apart, and that's how it went down. This Pharaoh, but when that Pharaoh passed on and the next dynasty came in, it said, one who did not know Joseph. Joseph who? And these is who? Oh no. That Pharaoh must have been, to them, he was like how we look at Bill Clinton. He's a real brother. And you know your mind go there a little bit. But it was a difference. This Pharaoh said, hey, right here, second in command, though, still, let's understand that Joseph was a governor. He was not the president of Egypt. But for what he did, the Most High did for him in Egypt, he rewarded that favor. So in like manner, you will always see. When you get into Isaiah 60, you see the same thing, the Gentiles bringing up forth. They're now nursing mothers and kings. You know, so y'all understand that perfect when you see down there. But it ain't gonna be, if you think you got mine on there, you're gonna be daily just whipping till you sweat blood and blood up on your sleeve. No, David couldn't build the temple. And those were righteous killers, except for Uriah. The rest of them was worthy, but because their blood was there. No, David. People gonna think that's what they have to do, kill to get in. What you got? Fonzo, we're gonna move on. Go ahead, bro.
On what Mally just read, in verse 14, it said, and I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel. So that's slavery again?
No, it's the reverse of the slavery of Israel. I second witness there in Psalms 126. If you read that, it's saying the same thing. When he says bring again, he's saying reverse the captivity of his people.
Right, because you see what's right behind you enjoying
126 chapter.
Yeah, you enjoying what's going on. You know, you enjoying everything, but when he said, I'm going to bring the captivity, let them see before your eyes. But y'all have to understand, that's why Nat Turner went in the big house. He went close quarters. In the same manner, you ain't going to have a hitting around your kids if he was going to be out there. You think you're going to remember what he said about Jesse Owens? Watch show. No. Let's get right. Where we going that last
Luke
21?
Luke 23, brother.
Luke 23.
44 to 46.
Malachi.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, sis. Let's see you over there. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, is what you just explained, I was trying to understand Romans 9 and 4. Is that the people that you're talking about when it's talking about the adoption, people adopted in?
Right. It also says Revelation chapter 6. When it speaks of the great, the 144,000, and then it speaks of the 12 tribes, and it says, then I saw another number of all nations, kindreds, and tongues. Right. You know, and these are, but everybody have their proper place. Like you have your proper place in this kingdom. Why do you think those from the African nation can come over here and get licensed and set up shop in your neighborhood? Right. Y'all got any braid shops in Chinatown? Right. Is there any Hebrew sewing garments going on? And little Yugoslavia town. But they have all these towns set up, and you're what's called second class or tributary to all the nations. It's just going to be reversed.
And a fulfillment.
Revelation chapter 6.
And a fulfillment of the scripture, the prophecy, all nations will be
Revelation chapter 7
blessed
and
by
14 will
Israel.
explain that as well. Right. Both Revelation chapter 14 talk about the 144,000, and 14 that explain it, and then, like I said, Revelation 6 get into all nations, kindreds, and tongues God saw. You know, so it's not saying y'all don't get it misunderstood. There's tributary order like it is in this nation.
No doubt. Also, y'all, Joel chapter 3.
Absolutely.
Another. Joel chapter 3, verse 1 through 10.
Yes, sir.
And it had the same language in there, where it says, I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. And then it goes in to show you what he's saying is he's going to reverse our captivity.
Yeah. Because you don't see no bad works like you do in Deuteronomy 28.
Right.
You see it going right into the fruits, and they should eat the fruit of their own land. Deuteronomy 28 said we're going to plant and another going to eat.
Right.
Reverse.
Right.
What you got now?
That's it for me.
So is you good? Anything else on that?
No, that's fine.
All right, y'all. We just hit this Luke. Where we at, y'all? We're going to get right into our topic in hand.
Luke chapter
Clean
3.
and unclean.
Fine, so read that Joel 3. That 1 through 10 in that Psalm 126 chapter. It'll clear up exactly what that Amos was saying.
That's right.
Joel the 3rd chapter, verse 1 through 10. And Psalm the 126th chapter. There's only a few verses in there. But that'll clear up that Amos 9, which you read, bring again the captivity of my people.
Right.
We read and we think, oh, okay, we're going back to slavery.
Right.
And you read the whole thing and everything that relates to it, you see, you talk about reversing the captivity of his people.
Right. Because every nation, when you read Psalm 83, it tells you who was involved in the slave trade. All these nations have to come up against us and keep us from being a people, from knowing that you're Israel. They named the nation in Psalm 83.
Right.
So all of those nations now have to pay tributary, those nations of those who serve God, just like we just read about Cornelius in Acts 10.
No doubt. And then those servants will be servants of your God, though.
That's right.
Feel me? Ain't like you're going to have servants and then they worship how they want to worship.
Right.
They don't work like that.
Or do what they used to do too. Should accuse you, bring me another law. Started to. Should accuse you at birth. Should stomp your brains out like I did your two brothers.
See, the Lord got a spot for all the wicked, us or the other nations. They can fire, feel me, come with damnation and judge.
Right.
But for those of other nations willing to acknowledge that your God is God and to accept their role, Lord ain't got no problem with them.
No.
At all.
None.
And it's just like that with Abraham. Abraham had servants in his household, and they all worshiped our God.
That's right.
He sent Eleazar, one of his servants, to go find the wife for Isaac.
That's right.
You feel me? He was a servant of our God. So in that case, they brothers in that case. Right?
That's right.
Some people just want to be like, reverse clans, KKKs. Blacks. We're going to put on black hoods and go do some lynching. You know what I'm saying? Some beating, some castrating, some break that payback. See, that's the lust that people have in their heart. Instead of, look, he's serving of our God. Right. Ain't no thing. Everybody that went against our Lord, including us, the Lord got a spot for them. Right. Right.
And the main thing is, you got to be on the inside with the Lord to see the wicked get punished. So you have to be careful. You don't be waiting and saying, I want to see the wicked get punished. I want to see the wicked get punished. And you ain't cleansed your temple.
That's right.
You may be over there getting bold and stoned upside your head with me. Because the Lord said you won't get to see their judgment unless you're standing on the side of righteousness. How you gonna be standing there? That's the same thing he told him, let him without sin cast the first stone. Your sin will be washed away, so you can wash those that refuse to get on the Most High side and leave.
And they out here.
That's right.
Yeah. Plenty of them out here. Go ahead. Whatever.
Let's get it. Luke
23.
Verse what? 44. See, y'all, this is very important. We can see how long Christ was suffering. So when you talk about you ain't never walked in my shoes, you ain't had on these shoes. Let's get it. Where we at?
Luke chapter 23, verse 44.
What is that?
And it was about the 6th hour.
About the what hour?
The 6th hour.
Y'all have to understand he was up there before thee. When they judged him, it was the 3rd hour of the day. At court. Y'all go to court early, don't we? Who go to court in the afternoon? It's probably for traffic. But major league court, you got when the doors open. Go ahead.
And there was a
darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour.
You see, that darkness was over the earth from noon, because this was under curse, till 2:59, 3 p.m. Darkness over the hour for 3 hours, just like it was darkness in Egypt for 3 days before we come out. Christ is mirroring, he's our Passover lamb. Had to be put to death the same way. Everything had to go in the same order. Go ahead.
And the sun was dark, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Jesus has cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost.
So right here, y'all, these are the same things that's in your mind when they're telling you to keep your eyes open if you've been in an accident. They're telling you keep wanting to live. You close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you usually rest, don't you? When you finally close your eyes, you saying, look, I'm finna pass out. Who been in here had too many liquid libations, and when you lay down in bed, start spinning like this, you sit back up. Please, let it spin. Then finally you just say, the hell with it and let it spin you unconscious. Or you gonna get up and you saying, I'm taking my chances. If I wake up, is it gonna be the resurrection? Or is it gonna be somebody putting a cool towel on my head? And talking about what you can do up all over. My good confidence. Let's move on. Y'all, we're going to get right into the understanding of clean and unclean. We're going to hit on a few topics. The book of life. So we have to educate the children, y'all. And one of the chief ways, when the scripture says teach our children's children, do y'all think it means solely sitting down with them with the scripture? There's an example you have to present to your children's children. They have to know where to play that. When you go over there, there's order. They stand up straight. Because that's what they're being taught by you. If you teach them something else, we are visual people. We don't want to see what's written in the book. We want to see what you do. That's how we determine at the end of the thing. They want to know why you walk the way you walk. You talk the way you talk. You mess around and let one slip. Who? What? Who said? We couldn't say lies. You just couldn't, even though that's in the script, you have to graduate to saying that. You can't be equal with your parents.
I couldn't say lie either.
So today you said the children oh my goodness.
Let's get it, y'all. We're going to get right to the heart of the matter and understanding. Y'all see, a lot of times we don't want to get clean and unclean mixed up with this word. Kosher. There's a different meaning for that word versus clean. Kosher ain't in the Bible like raps ain't in there.
That's right.
They simple and they close. But if you put full confidence in that word, then you're still in error.
You said the right word.
You have not transformed your mind to well-pleasing. That's what we're going to get into with clean and unclean. See, the law, when we talk about Aaron, Aaron has the filter that intertwined. But you have to graduate from the filter there. First, get you right in your mind and body, what you see and what you get used to seeing every day. That's why we had to get everybody out of the land of Canaan that was right. So that you could first see, because you visual people see righteous order. When you see righteous order, you get in line. Unrighteousness don't like righteous order. It leaves unless it can whisper and enchant wickedness back into the fold. That's what happened to Saul. He said, kill all of the Amalekites. But Saul had a relationship, it was his partner, they used to rap. Meet at the UN council, so to speak, back in that day. That was his part. But the Lord said he got to be put down too. That's right. It's some old ties with his name that have to be answered for. Put him down. All right. Compromise. Saul like, wait a minute, man, that's my woman. The Lord don't do it all. So you think the Lord made a mistake. You think the wrong thing don't get wrong. Mark chapter 7, verse 7. Y'all, kosher means ceremonial made clean by a rabbi. Now what kills that? What chapter and verse?
Matthew 23.
That's what it does. Matthew 23 and 8. 23 and 8 kills that.
So then,
Call no man